this love has two sides. There's meeting and separation. Of course, like love in meeting is a source of great happiness. And they don't want to be separated. But separation increases also this desire for meeting. And increases more this love and affection. So like now we're trying to learn Bhakti. We're trying to learn this love and affection to Krishna. Krishna is very far away. Really, like you can speculate all you want about like how to love Krishna. But unless you have association with the Vaishnavas, with those of actual like love, then only that time you can have some understanding the nature of this love. You will see not just by their words, but by their like every action. And therefore, it says that this bhakti is coming to us from the heart of the devotees. From their heart, then we're learning, and this love in the heart will also shine and in our heart. So anyhow, I have not much like physical association, contact with His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Kumuda Maharaja. Although by mercy of the Vaishnavas, and I had darshan with him that time when he was like still like strong. Later on, almost at the end. By the way, Srila Bhakti Kumuda Maharaja, he was the last disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, in the renounced order of life, and also taking the role as Acharya in one of Mat. He was the last to be in this planet. And so, he left even after Srila Gurudev. And during the time of Srila Gurudev, when Srila Gurudev started his preaching, when he found out about it, he was really like so pleased, so happy. And you can read in like his letters to Srila Gurudev how he would bless Srila Gurudev. Like my Guru Maharaj, like has given. He always would say like, my Guru has given me so much blessings, and I can see that by blessings of my Guru Maharaj and your Guru Maharaj, and now you're preaching so wonderfully. He said, like, I'm already like in old age, and I cannot be like doing so much, but hearing about you, that makes me so happy, and I can only like give all my blessings, like that, and I pray. He's like showing his well wishes to Srila Gurudev. I can only pray that you'll be very successful. He would say like, there'll be many obstacles, but it's nothing. So, 2 years after Srila Guru's disappearance, that's when he like entered Samadhi, I think that at age 98. So, he's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. And therefore, his disciples, they're like by generation, they're like the same generation as Srila Gurudev. You know, like he's like our uncle. So, uncle, right? He's like our god uncles. Is it? No.
Great uncle.
Great grand uncle. And his disciples, they're like our uncles. So that time, when we joined the festival or you call it ceremony for Samadhi, then really you can see how they're very mature, like his disciples. They may look like regular Bengalis, like their householders. Not so many of them are like wearing like saffron cloth like that. But you can see in their kirtan, and like how they're observing the ceremony. Of course, he has many sannyasis and brahmacharis also. But you can see like everything like very like done in a like someone who's like really mature. When you're little kids, you don't know what to do. Like most of us, I'm talking to myself and like many like Western devotees, when Srila Gurudev entered Samadhi, then there was even fighting like what to do like this, and everyone tried to assert like like what to do like this. Because this is the thing, Gurudev is so great, he's able to control these like so many like very strong personalities, and like from all over the world. So of course they're not also just like ordinary like conditioned souls. To be in this path, you have to have accrued so many pious activities and already to meet like Sadguru, like Srila Gurudev, and you can understand that they're not ordinary people. So somehow, but during the time Srila Gurudev, I feel like a little kid. I don't know, and many were just like depending on the senior devotees. They're all like senior. Even before he disappeared, even before he entered Samadhi, they already prepared murti for him. And by the time for his Samadhi ceremony, before his transcendental body, his murti, came, I think from Calcutta to where his Samadhi site, already they have prepared this Samadhi pit. And it's not just like dug hurriedly because there was no preparation. It was nicely dug and filled, covered with flowers and all decorated. And previous to that, hours of kirtan going on. Very nice kirtan. Our kirtaniyas, Vedanta players at the time, I remember, they were so happy playing and they considered one of their very memorable time. And it didn't matter how many hours they were just playing Vedanta. So that is, I want to read his biography. Srila Bhakti Maharaj. He had his biography in one book. Here we can have some glimpse of glories of this personality. As for me, and we also heard from Prabhuji. What I've heard, I'll try to also speak. I personally met him by mercy of Prabhuji when we visited his mom. That time, he was still strong, although I know that time already, he himself wrote to Srila Gurudev. One time he had accident, he broke 2 bones at his back, and then just a few days after, he fell down again and broke 2 other bones, and therefore from that time he could not walk. So that time when I met, I remember he was in a wheelchair. And you see him always happy face, not you're suffering condition. And especially when he sees Westerners, he's very merciful, he has this mood, his Guru Maharaj wants to preach all over, and so when he sees Westerners, then you see it he reminds him of his Gurudev Maharaj, that the mission of Mahaprabhu should be all over the world. So and this is what I witnessed. And later on that day when of his Samadhi ceremony, one of his disciples was telling me this, this is mood. And then I remember the time when I see him. And when he saw me, then he was he's asking so many questions, where are you from? This, and he's so kind. And I was looking at Prabhuji and Tito Maharaj, they were laughing. Because he's very approachable and, just friend. So, it said that he appeared in this world 1921. That's in the month of Vaishak. The second day in the month of Vaishak. The village is Narma. This is actually the same village as where Shyamananda and Rasikananda, I think, they had their childhood pastimes. He was given the name Radha Raman because their worshipful deity in the family is Radha Raman. His father is he's a landlord. He's also a Ayurvedic doctor and an astrologer, but he's always very favorable to devotees. They're very rich. So, although they're rich, he enjoys reading astrological calculations and being like a village doctor, like that. And but when some sadhus would come to the village, then he's always very supportive. So he said one time from Gaudiya, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, that was actually Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj. That time he was brahmachari. His name is Prabhananda Brahmachari, along with Bhakti Maharaj. They were in his village. And his father's name is Sri Vaikuntanath Rai. And there's many preachers, from Gaudiya coming, and because of that, then somehow he had some association with the Gaudiya. So the preachers of the Gaudiya were so pleased with his father, Vaikuntanath Rai, because he's always very hospitable. And sometimes they would even stay in his house. So one time, Srila Bhakti Hridaypan Maharaj and Prabhananda Brahmachari, they visited his house. They stayed there to collect for, and this even in our mat, during the time before Navadvip Parikrama, our brahmacharis and sannyasis, they would go stay in Bengal and go door to door, try to collect. So they were doing like that for Navadvip Parikrama. They're trying to do some bhiksha. And they were encouraged, even the local people also themselves to collect. And finally, on a certain day, then they'll bring everything to Mayapur. So they were staying in his house for some time. And during that time, his father, he offered them 108. That time, 108 rupees, that's 1921. Or, no, around that time, before 1930. That's already big amount. It's 108 rupees worth of silver coins, for pranami. And giving so much, shrub vegetables and rice and this. And that time of their stay, then Radharaman and his brother, they were given the opportunity to serve the sadhus. So just like, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Mahaprabhu stayed in his house for the 4 months of Chaturmasya. Then Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was how old that time? 8 years old, I think. Then he would every day serve Mahaprabhu. Not only serving prasadam, but also going to the river when Mahaprabhu taking bath. So he said Radharaman, he was serving whatever way. He was a little kid at that time. So they stayed for 5 days. Sri Prabhananda Brahmachari, that's Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj later, he observed that Radharaman is not typical boys. Boys by nature, when they're very young, they like to play and restless. He's always peaceful and always sitting altar, in their temple room. And he has always this inclination, he likes to hear Harikatha, and he performs kirtan there in the temple room. So one day, after they have their house program, Prabhananda Brahmachari, he was singing Jiv Jago, Jiv Jago. They said that after that, Radharaman asked him some questions. He was, at that time, like less than, has some interest. And also very quick, like, understanding. So, he said that he was amazed to see the ardent love for Kirtan in such a young boy. He said to Vaikuntanath Rai, your son's behavior is for ordinary child. His natural attraction to spiritual matters. Please, to have him stay in our hut. He just finishes, and as they desire, then he can pursue higher education. So, sometime later, Vaikuntanath Roy, when he visited the month and asked his son, do you want to continue your studies? If you want to acquire a higher education, then I'm happy to talk to Prabhupada. Like, okay, I'll take you and you can learn whatever, college degree and, like this. And you know what Radharaman said? He started quoting from his father. First, from Prabhupada, then from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some verses. He said, I have heard from Srila Prabhupada, Jar Vidya Jatu Mayar Vaibhav. He said, this Jar Vidya, this material knowledge, is simply the Vaibhav of Maya. Vaibhav meaning this like an opulent manifestation of Krishna's illusory energy. So, he said also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur stated in his Sharanagati, Vidyar Gauravi Brahmi, Deshe Deshe Dhana Uparjana Kori. He said, in the pride of having acquired worldly knowledge, I simply wandered from one country to another, accumulating material wealth. And in Chaitanya Bhagavata, Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's quoting a verse. He said, Pare kene lok Krishna Bhakti jani bari, se jani nahi lok tabi vijay ki kare. He said, Kori kene loka. Why do people study in this world? He said, Krishna Bhakti jani bari. Only really so that you will learn about Krishna Bhakti. That is really the purpose of education. So why do you study? Only really supposedly for learning Krishna Bhakti. But say Jari Nahilo, if this Bhakti does not arise, Tavi Vijay Ki Kori, so what is the purpose of this knowledge? So Srila Ramachari continued, because I have heard and taken to heart the true meaning of these statements and other similar statements found in the scriptures, I am determined not to waste my invaluable time in this human form of life. So, I don't want to waste this valuable time in human form just to acquire about higher education, material comforts, or earning a livelihood. I want to obtain spiritual knowledge, and therefore fulfill the true purpose of living in the mat. So he has expressed his desire, I'd rather just stay here in the mat and learn more about spiritual knowledge. Don't waste my time in bad education, going to materialistic school. So later on, he consulted with Srila Prabhananda Brahmachari that, okay, I want to continue learning. Srila Prabhupada has one disciple. Prabhupada himself gave him the title Kavya Vyakaran Tirtha. He is the Tirtha of, actually there's so many names to this. Kavya Vyakaran Tirtha. Kavya meaning poetry. Vyakaran is grammar. And Tirtha. You may say he's the Tirtha of Kavya Vyakaran, but see, when you say Tirtha, the word Tirtha, you may say Tirtha that we're referring to like a pilgrimage place or holy place. What makes it a holy place? What makes it a Tirtha? Literally, when you say Tirtha, that refers to, even in a river, the shallow part of a river, where it makes you like cross the river so easily. Sometimes a river has like very deep part and the flow is very strong. And it's so dangerous to cross the river. But there's a certain part of the river where it's very shallow and the flow is very not strong. And it makes you cross the river so easily. So that's literally the meaning of tirtha. So tirthas are like places where by coming to that place, then you're able to cross this material existence. So Prabhupada, he gave this one of his disciples this name, Kavya Vyakaran Tirtha. You may consider it like, oh, he's the Tirtha of Kavya Vyakaran. By him, all this poetry and this grammar becomes spiritual, and it helps people like cross this material existence. So he had made arrangements with Srila Bhakti Maharaja. That time, Prabhupada Brahmachari, that I can try to learn Sanskrit from this devotee. His name is Gordas Pandit. And the purpose is not to become scholar like this. Purpose is that most of the writings of Goswami are in Sanskrit. And so, it said, in order to comprehend the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptural scriptures. So this proposal is submitted to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada gave permission. That's Radha Raman Brahmachari, he transferred from Calcutta to Mayapur, in Srila Mayapur, Chaitanya Maharaj. And then we can understand that around this time, then that's the time when they were like classmates with Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj. That time Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj was also like young, and so then they were there, like now they're staying the same month in Mayapur. Then later in 1930, there was this really big festival organized by Prabhupada. In Mayapur. They have this exhibit from February to March. A big exhibit. And it's a cause for so many people coming actually to Mayapur. This is how Prabhupada, he creates like events so people attract to coming to Mayapur, That time Mayapur was not so famous yet. Not so many people really they acknowledge Mayapur as the birthplace of Mahaprabhu like this. And so, like now, why so many people coming to pray mandir? For some people, they may consider coming to pray mandir because they want to see pray mandir. Because it's so nice, lights. They have fountain with movies on the fountain, and they have so many many nice murtis like this. So people are attracted to these things. So Prabhupada, he was actually the first one. Right now, if you go to temples, then they have all this relief, artworks in the temple. Before, temples, they don't have much like this. Although we can see in all temples, they have all this different, very nice sculptures on the pillars and like that. But as far as big paintings and having exhibits, Prabhupada started in Mayapur temple, and it's like you're making the people on a tour and explaining, trying to show them the different pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And by the time then people will understand the glories of Mayapur or the glories of Gaudiyas like this. They'll have some understanding. And then they would want to come back again. And especially, they hear very nice kirtan and some prasadam. And so, that time, Prabhupada started. And it's very opulent, using so many lights, that during that time in Bengal, there was a time of all this, the communist revolution, nationalist revolution. And therefore, like all those like activists, you know, they would protest even outside the mud. And they would say, like, you're wasting money. Like all this money you use for all these like lamps and all your exhibition, if only you use that for feeding the poor, like this, then that will be so helpful to society. So that time, Prabhupada would always address them, like telling our mission is not karmic mission. You may even like try to satisfy the body of people, but the soul will still be like still be craving. And some would even say like, oh, just recently like there's this flood, like Param Gurudev, he met this like this communist leader who tried to like confront Param Gurudev. Like, why are you asking money from all these people only to make it to waste it in your like exhibits like that? When this money can be used for feeding the poor, like this. Look, they just had this flood. And Param Gurudev was telling like, oh, where's the flood? When the real flood of like this cosmic dissolution comes, only really those, or even at the time of death, you know, like this, or even this material existence alone is like these waves of this like, material miseries. Your so-called solutions in your like revolution or whatever, they're not really, cannot help. So that time they have all their publications, like magazines, that they have, at that time they already have a daily newspaper. And so with their newspaper they're able to answer and try to like answer all the different like, issues that people are trying to bring up, like all the protests. So that time in Mayapur, he ordered Radharaman Brahmachari. That was 1930. So if you try to compare, he was born 1921. So 1930 was like he was like 9 years old at this time. He ordered Radharaman Brahmachari, who was absorbed in studying Sanskrit grammar, to dedicate himself to the services related to the exhibition. So at that time. So as per the instruction of Prabhupada, Radharaman Brahmachari, he would be like a like a curator in, how do you call it, in an exhibit. He would welcome people and he would speak about like this particular exhibit and what's the pastime, and he would quote like verses like this. And some people really like so attracted. He was like 9 years old. So unknowingly he was doing this, and he didn't know that Prabhupada one time was looking at him and listened to his explanations. And so when his parents came also to see the exhibition, Prabhupada like met them and praised so much this boy, like, oh, you know, your son is not an ordinary son, he's not an ordinary child. He's one of our great, he's the youngest preacher here. Like this. So he told Vaikuntanath Rai and Ratnamai Devi, your youngest son has accrued substantial qualification for someone his age. At present he is studying Sanskrit grammar and sincerely serving the residents of the Dham. At the exhibition, Srila Radharaman Brahmachari would speak with his family members for some time about Srila Prabhupada's glories. So this was the time. At this time, he had already some association with Srila Prabhupada. He lived with Srila Prabhupada. And when he met his parents, that time he was glorifying Prabhupada. And this legacy of Prabhupada's teachings. And the speciality of the Gaudiya. You can imagine, 9 years old, already that time, by mercy of Prabhupada and his like high-class disciples, even this young boy, already he's absorbed so much, like, oh, you know, the value of this movement of Mahaprabhu, especially in the form of what Prabhupada is doing. And therefore, he's expressed this to his parents. And then he's explaining on the purpose of these exhibits. But especially, he invited them, like really for good fortune, for our life, then you have to take shelter of the lotus feet of Prabhupada. He's actually preaching to his parents. And because of that, then the whole family took Harinam from Prabhupada. It was also this time that he also took Harinam, together with his father and mother. So now they're now, spiritually, they're all like God brothers, God sisters. His father, now he's like God brother. They decided then and there that their three sons would become Srila Prabhupada's disciples also. Srila Prabhupada showered his mercy on Vaikuntanath Rai and his wife Ratnamai Devi, and their sons, three sons, Radhasham, Radha Vinod, and Radharaman. He gave them all Harinam. He asked Srila Radharaman Brahmachari's parents, do you object to Radharaman's continuing to stay in the mud? So Vaikuntanath Rai and his wife, they replied, please consider this boy as already offered at your lotus feet. So this, from this point, already is like clear. Like, Prabhupada should not anymore think about like asking permission from them. He's considered like he's already offered to him. So according to the Srila Prabhupada, he said the daily newspaper, Dainik Nadia Prakash, that was printed from Mayapur. This is daily newspaper. That time they have daily newspaper. One day it so happened that there was no paper stock for the following day's issue. And the rainy weather was making it difficult to procure a new supply. Sri Prabhupada Brahmachari, the paper's editor at the time, informed Srila Prabhupada about the situation and asked him what to do. Srila Prabhupada asked, is there anybody who can bring paper from our Bhagavad press in Krishnanagar? Srila Prabhupada Brahmachari mentioned, Radharaman Brahmachari is here. I am certain he will go if you tell him. So Srila Prabhupada then ordered Radharaman Brahmachari to go. And the boy left immediately to Krishnanagar by bicycle. If you're familiar, Krishnanagar, it's not really that far also from Navadvip. After riding a considerable far distance and it was pouring rain, Sri Radharaman Brahmachari reached his destination. The devotees at Bhagavad Press bound the paper supply to the back of his bicycle. The nuts they made, however, were quite loose, and the entire bundle of paper fell to the wet ground during his return journey. Sri Radharaman Brahmachari immediately removed his dhoti, which measured approximately 5 meters, and replaced it with his uttariya, which measured only 2 meters. Then using the dhoti, he nicely bound the paper, secured it to the bike, and carefully brought it to Mayapur. Now, I'm telling like, not so far away, because you're thinking of like your journey from Mayapur to Krishnanagar by bus. Just imagine he's riding by bike.
It's like
he's a young kid.
20 kilometers or something? Like 20 kilometers?
20 kilometers, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was pouring rain. So he's getting the paper, but this time he had to sacrifice his dhoti also, because his paper is loose, bound loose. So when Prabhupada was informed of the situation, Sri Radharaman Brahmachari about, once Radharaman Brahmachari returned, then he was so pleased with the boy. He acknowledged that although he was very young, he displayed what astuteness. That's the word he used. It was astuteness in the difficult situation. Cleverness. Now, when Srila Prabhupada saw for himself how skillful Sri Radharaman was during that exhibition time in Mayapur, he included his name in the list of devotees who would be sent to Dhaka. Dhaka is capital of Bangladesh, right? Is in Bangladesh. So there they will also hold an exhibition. And this is actually like 3 years after. Another big exhibition. When Sridharaman Brahmachari found out about this, he appealed to Srimad Bhakti Vedek Bharati Goswami Maharaj. My grammar studies have already been paused during the exhibition in Mayapur. If I go to Dhaka, they will practically cease altogether. He was like worried about my studying Sanskrit will not complete. When Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj put the matter before Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada called for Radharaman Brahmachari and told him, to think we must first obtain some qualification before attempting to serve Sri Hari simply invites obstacles in our lives. This is an important teaching actually. Sometimes you think like, oh, if I become qualified, then I can serve nicely. So I will delay a little bit my service. I'll try to make myself more qualified. Then you think, oh, I can serve better. Prabhupada is telling what you can do now to serve. If you're serving now, then really, that is the goal of your life, right? Like service. You don't delay it for something else. Also, by thinking that first I will delay and I will have to be qualified, he said, you're actually inviting, what did he say? He said, you're inviting obstacles in our lives, in your lives. When, who knows what may happen in the time spent pursuing perfection? Our time in this human form of life is momentary. We cannot trust if this is our last breath. Like anytime you can leave. Don't delay. The rice paddy in the field must be dried before the sun is still shining. It is best to seize whatever opportunities for Hari Seva, whatever opportunities arise to serve Hari. Take that immediately, don't delay. Your qualification will increase more by serving the Lord. And really, if you want to be qualified, serve and automatically this qualification will increase. Then by your qualification will increase more by serving the Lord than by independently pursuing grammatical knowledge. Only a life led under guidance brings auspiciousness for a spiritual seeker residing in an ashram. Under guidance, anugatya. A life under anugatya. This is real auspiciousness for a spiritual seeker. Sri Radharaman Brahmachari took Srila Prabhupada's merciful instruction to heart and fixed it as the main instruction guiding him to the path of spiritual welfare. So from this point, then, okay, he made it his the main instruction in the heart. Everything under anugatya. Now, doing not independently, like sometimes we plan for ourselves. Okay, I'll do like this. Sometimes you calculate already how you're going to serve. So it's like independently you're trying to do. It's like now, Vaishnavas are there. Serve them. Just do everything under their guidance. In this way, automatically so much mercy will flow and you become qualified and time will not be wasted. You will reach perfection. Sri Radharaman Brahmachari was thus always faithfully preoccupied with various services. And in 1934, so that's like he was 13 years old at that time. At Bhag Bazar Gaudiya in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada granted Sri Radharaman Brahmachari Mantra Diksha. The devotees of Sri Madhav Gaudiya Math in Dhaka once wrote to Srila Prabhupada requesting him to send a kirtaniya for the Math. Knowing Sri Radharaman Brahmachari to be an exceptional kirtaniya, Srila Prabhupada asked him if he could manage to make the journey on his own. Sri Radharaman Brahmachari confidently affirmed that he could, and accepting the order of his Gurudev, he departed for Dhaka. which required him to travel first by steamship and then by road. So, we know he's very good kirtanya. And you can hear, there's some recordings of him singing. Also, that time he would be preaching and he would go also to radio stations and they would do kirtan like this. So at that time there was a need for kirtanya in Bangladesh, in the center in Dhaka, and so Prabhupada sent him alone. Being the first passenger to arrive on the steamship, Sri Radhanand Brahmachari took a seat next to one of the ship's windows. Yeah, we all experience this, right? Like first, like option is always near the window. So he was the first one to arrive, and so he took the seat near the window. After some time, the ship slowly began to fill with passengers. Those who arrived after him told him, "Move over. Why are you sitting near the window anyway? You're a small child and can sit anywhere. Fresh air is required for all people. Why have you taken the seat? Get up from here and go sit elsewhere." And you can understand this. In India, this is very common. He's a little kid. We need more fresh air. Transfer it. I'll sit there like this. Another person commented, "Nowadays, people give birth to children and without accepting the responsibility for looking after them, leave them in the mud." Now they're also like kind of insulting. Like lazy parents, they don't want to take care of this. So like very young kids, they neglect and they put in the mud. These children then become sadhus due to their laziness and their aversion to work. After hearing these comments, Sri Radharand Brahmachari quietly got up from his seat and stood near the ship's entrance so that no one would be bothered. So, look, he did not fight with them. And it is a very common thing in India, really, fighting so much. He just quietly left, and he's standing near the door or the entrance of the ship. Now, seeing this, everybody became satisfied and remained peaceful. And really, like some people, they're very angry and fighting mood. When they see you're trying to be offensive to some person, that person is very humble, then it actually gives it makes them a little feel guilty also. Oh, why am I doing this? A little bit. Approximately 10 minutes later, an announcement was broadcast over the loudspeaker. "Everyone, please be attentive. The ocean is very rough today, and we have no control over the ship. We are in perilous danger. Anything can happen, so everyone please remember God and pray to Him for our safety." And so there's this problem, big waves and wind. So they said, "Oh, this is not our control. God is in control. So now everyone pray." Hearing this, an old man who had previously complained about Sri Radharand Brahmachari, he began crying. He began to cry and lamenting, "My daughter is to be married soon, and I'm carrying her dowry and wedding ornaments. If something happens to our ship, what will happen to my daughter's marriage? Everything will be ruined." Like this. You can see how the materials are thinking. They're lying and they're still thinking about their material existence. Another passenger responded, "Didn't you hear the announcement? They are saying to remember God. So this is not the appropriate time to speak such things." The old man replied, "God will not listen to us because we never did his bhajan. But surely he will listen to this young sadhu. Although he's very young, he has understood the true value of life." So now they begin to see, After this, all the passengers who had previously complained about Sri Radharand Brahmachari, now they forcibly they sat him down and requested him to pray for their safety. He replied, "I have heard from my Guru Maharaj that the Lord only hears the prayers of His surrendered devotees. As I am not yet surrendered to Him, He will not even hear me but to speak of fulfilling my requests. However, my Guru Maharaj has also mentioned that we should always perform Nam Sankirtan. Therefore, I can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and all of you can repeat it in Kirtan, like this. But I cannot guarantee that God will hear or save us. So the passengers accepted his proposal and began to perform Kirtan. After some time, the ship safely arrived at its destination. So, Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, after mentioning this pastime, and in doing so, he taught us that both the criticism and praise of ordinary people have absolutely no value. You know, whether someone praise you or criticize you, they have no value. Therefore, we should never become affected by whatever people may speak. Such people praise and criticize only for their own sense enjoyment. Once Sri Radharaman Brahmachari asked Srila Prabhupada, why the brothers refer to each other as Prabhu? And Srila Prabhupada gave the following response. It is said, Gurura Seva Koi Manya Apanar, the servant of one's Guru is to be revered. According to this notion, we address to all our God brothers, both senior and junior, as Prabhu, so that we may cultivate a sense of being humbler than a blade of grass. If a person considers himself to be a Vaishnava and others to be junior or less advanced than him, he nurtures only mundane egotism. In the realm of spirituality, if we see each other as the servants of our Guru, the notion that another is inferior to or less qualified than us will never enter our hearts. Then we will not have a chance to feel malice or disregard for others. So Prabhupada nicely explained to him this mood of servant. If you consider yourself the servant of Guru, you're there as servant. Mood of servant, serve. Then you will never have this mood of, I'm higher than everyone else, like you're the Prabhu. Therefore you consider everyone else your Prabhu. I mean this, like you call them Prabhu, this way it enhances more this mood, that like I am lower than everyone else. Otherwise you think that I'm superior. This is mundane egotism. This is the secret of addressing each other as Prabhu. If one wishes to relinquish gross egotism and become a servant of Sri Gurudev, one must not regard Sri Gurudev's servant in terms of senior and junior. As the scriptures state, Tadvitya Vitya Vitasya Vityam Itimam Smara Lokana. O Lord of the universe, I wish to forever remember that I am but the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. We must deeply internalize this conception. In this way, Scripture ordains that the servants of Sri Guru, and indeed all Vaishnavas, are to be addressed as Prabhu. So once Sri Radharaman Brahmachari and Guru Maharaj, or that is Guru Maharaj and Sri Bhakti Maharaj, that's like Bhakti Maharaj. That time he was also Brahmachari, High Guru Brahmachari. They were staying in the Madras Bodhyamat. Although they were brahmacharis and not sannyasis, they were accepted as experienced seniors because they sincerely followed Srila Prabhupada. During their stay, Sri Radharaman Brahmachari noticed that a particular brahmachari refused to mix with other residents of the mats and hardly spoke with anybody. He instead sought solitude wherever he could find it, just to focus on his reading and chanting. And sometimes we see this. That's why it's very helpful to hear about this, because then you can see situations. He was telling that one time Radharaman Brahmachari saw one resident of the mat. He doesn't want to mix with the devotees so much. He likes to stay alone by himself. And only to focus on his reading and chanting. Sensing something suspicious about these activities, Sri Radharaman Brahmachari approached Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari and expressed his concern, saying, Prabhu, although this Brahmachari is chanting and reading a great deal and avoiding gossip, I feel something is wrong. Can you please investigate? Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari understood the legitimate reason for Sri Radharaman Brahmachari's concern. Now we have to understand in this situation, it is not done when you say like, oh, please check what he's doing, it is not done out of, like, oh, he's envious and you want to find faults in this person. You have to see, like, the mood is, you're concerned about that situation of that like person. And therefore you're asking the senior devotees, like, please check, maybe he has some problem. Like this. So Srila Brahmachari, he called for the brahmachari and asked him, I have heard that you do not associate with any other residents of the month. What to speak of joking with them or sitting with them to take prasad? What is this? The brahmachari replied, I do not wish to become involved in gossip, and that is why I prefer to keep to myself. Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari said, I think it would be better for you to sit with them and develop relationships. Try to lead your life in a natural way, as the other residents of the month do. It is not a problem if you sometimes have to joke and engage in gossip by them. Why? Because there is something to learn in each and every activity of the devotees. Now, feeling utterly confused, the brahmachari replied, Prabhu, although you are very senior to me, you are instructing me to do the opposite of what I have heard from other senior Vaishnavas. I do not want you to feel as though I am challenging you, but Srimad Mahaprabhu has directed us not to listen to or speak gossip. But you're asking me to indulge in material talks with brahmacharis if required. This is greatly puzzling. So Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari then explained himself. Listen properly. He said, presently you are residing in this month only with your body and not with your mind. If you do heed with my words, then after some time your body will also go from here. You will surely return to your home. But if you follow what I have suggested, at least you will continue to stay here by body, and then gradually your mind will come to stay in the mud as well. Therefore, be peaceful and please try to follow my advice. This instance shows that although Sri Radharana Brahmachari was considerably young, he was Duradarshi, capable of seeing what will come in the future beyond the present circumstances. While ordinary persons hold an external conception of proper and improper conduct, the perception of those who are Duradarshi extends beyond external conduct. Such persons can clearly see what is deep inside the hearts of others, as well as what will become of them in the future. So he could ascertain that because this brahmachari's mind was not fixed in being a servant of Sri Hari, Guru and the Vaishnavas, he would quickly tire of his rigorous sadhana and leave the mud. Sometime later, that brahmachari received a letter, but instead of having it sent to the mud, he had the sender address it to the nearby Grihastha family. Seeing that a letter had come for a resident of the mud, that family explained the situation to Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari and handed him the letter. Upon reading it, Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari learned that the brahmachari had previously sent a letter to his mother, informing her that he would soon return home and that she should therefore arrange both a job and a wife for him. The letter Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari received was mother's reply, in which she accepted the responsibility and told her son to return quickly. Shortly after the letter's arrival, the brahmachari left the month. And okay, see, it's like this. Sometimes you say in the month, and you have all this idea of what is like devotion. Like this. Your body may be there, but in your mind, you're not there. And therefore, you don't trust anyone in the month. Because your mind is still like full of like contamination or something. So you don't trust the moods of your god brothers and like that. And therefore, you don't associate with them. And because of this, you're not really in the mat. Now, we're talking about actual like mat basis. Who are actually like reciting Ahmad and they're preaching and they're busy serving. Because sometimes in the mat also you'll see, like in the mat there's many devotees, no. And you have actually the choice, like who to associate. You can see who's like devotees who are serious. Like that. Then you stay them, never alone. Never alone. This devotee, he's alone, trying to be like independent. And always, but this is a problem. You're always, when you're very judgmental, like always like very critical mood. See, this is one quality of the Vaishnavas and Guru. For the disciples, it said that we have faith in Guru, right? But this is one thing also with the Gurus. They also put faith on their disciples. Why are they giving instruction? Because they have faith that they can do like this. Now, as like common God brothers, you see, Guru is giving responsibility to his disciple, or giving certain responsibilities. Meaning he has some faith in that person. Then you don't question that also. Like, oh, he's not qualified. Or like, oh, I don't respect him. Like this. Like, you also learn to have some faith. Or once you're proud and you think like, oh, they're not devotees, you think like that, then Krishna will make you like humble. In the case of this brahmachari, we see, and many devotees like this, they have all this like ideas of what is like perfect, and they try to impose on others like it should be like this, it should be like this, and at the point where they even become critical of their superiors like this. So then what happens to them? They leave, and then you can see like, previously they're following actually regulated principles. Later on, totally they left even the regulated principles. So Vaishnavas, like they can sense, they have, and like Srila Bhakti Maharaja, even at a young age, already he felt something, and he can see the situation. Although this brahmachari displayed absolutely no visible indications of mental unrest while staying in the mud, Srila Radharman Brahmachari could understand the situation very clearly. Fortunately, due to impressions he received as a result of staying in the mud, this brahmachari later accepted the real truth and returned to the mud around the age of 65. And that's why, this is really like, sometimes, okay, we may say like, the goal of our sadhana is to attain bhav, right? And so Srila Gurudev would say, like, what you're doing now, if not done consciously to attain bhav, then it's not really sadhana. So, okay, still though, although you're not really performing sadhana, but you stay with the Vaishnavas, and then there's some delay. You're not attaining bhav, but some impressions is there. That's the least that's happening to someone. So by staying in the mat, although he's not like seriously doing sadhana, but just by staying there, impressions are there, and that will save them. So, like in this case, you may say, oh, he has fallen down. But later on, he came back. At the age of 65. Remembering Duradarshi of Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj, he accepted sannyas from him sometime after. So he became a sannyas disciple of Srila Bhakti Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada left this world shortly after the end of Srila Radharman Brahmachari's childhood. Sri Radharman Brahmachari's heart was broken upon seeing the regretful state of the Gaudiya organization in the wake of Srila Prabhupada's departure. Being still quite young, he felt it would be better to return to his family instead of enduring the regretful situation in which he found himself. Thinking in this way, Sri Radharman Brahmachari expressed his desire to his father, who accepted his proposal and welcomed him home. Hearing the news of Sri Radharman Brahmachari's departure from the mud, Sri Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he arrived at his home and asked Sri Vaikuntanath Prabhu, "You are the disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Even if your son is asking to return home, how can you allow it?" So Sri Vaikuntanath Prabhu replied, "Actually, I do not wish for him to leave the mud, but at the same time, I don't want him to be discouraged and think there is no one to support him due to his having chosen another path. I don't want him to feel abandoned or unsettled to his inheritance, For this reason, I have allowed him to return home. If you prefer him to remain a brahmachari and return to the mud, then he can go with you. If he agrees to it, I have no objection. In fact, I would be pleased by this. So, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj discussed this matter with Radharama Brahmachari, who said that Sri Hayagriva Prabhu, you have gone to go so much trouble for me in coming to bring me back to the mud. You have treated me like the best of friends. So I'm indebted to your lotus feet for this. However, if I agree to again live in the mud and as a service to Sri Hari become involved with the ongoing court case, I doubt I will be able to reconcile my concerns for the future of the mud. Given the impressions I have of how the residents of the mud dealt with each other following Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, I do not find myself very eager to march back there. Please forgive me for this. I promise you that I will deeply evaluate all this matter soon. So, he did not go. After Guru Maharaj left, he left, Radharaman thought, then he did not go. Later he said, what have I done? I said, no. I have foiled the plans of a Vaishnava who was concerned for my welfare and humiliated him by forcing him to turn back. So knowing that this would become an impediment to his bhajan, he spent the days that followed in regret and eating and sleeping only out of habit. After a few days, a particular scriptural adage occurred to him. Subhasya sigram asubhasya kal haranam. Good deeds should be done immediately and bad deeds should be delayed. With this in mind, he presented himself. He went to Srila Bhakti Maharaj, who was then preaching in Medinapur, because at that time he was preaching in his area. So he approached him, and so Hayagriva Brahmachari at that time, he was so joyful and awestruck to Sri Radharaman Brahmachari's determination to dedicate his life to the service of Sri Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, and that he should be awarded sannyas. So, that time, he was not sannyas, Hayagriva Brahmachari. So therefore, he requested Bhakti Vichar Jayavar Maharaj to give him sannyas. Now, actually before this, we've heard that, see, for some, actually, now in this story, it seems like very short time. He left and then he stayed back in his place of his family for a few years, actually. And there he was there. He was like remembering Prabhupada and like all this concern. And he was doing bhajan. So he was doing bhajan, actually. And, but he was not like like outwardly like going preaching and actively like joining the mat, because he was disappointed. There was all this fighting in the mat at that time. So Prabhupada appeared to him in a dream. He himself was telling Prabhupada appeared to him in a dream and told him he should take sannyas. And so therefore it was actually this arrangement of Prabhupada that Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, that time he was not sannyasi, he was Hayagriva Brahmachari, he was preaching in his area, and he went to him. And so this opportunity was there. He asked that, he should take sannyas. He said, Srila Jajavar Gosvami Maharaj, he accepted this proposal. He gave him the sannyas at the Kirchwara Gopinath temple in Remona. Since that time, he has been known as Sri Srimad Bhakti Kumud Santa Goswami Maharaj. So this name, Bhakti Kumud Santa Goswami Maharaj, Jajavar Maharaj gave this name because one time Srila Prabhupada, he glorified Prabhupada himself. He wrote a verse for Srila Santa Maharaj. And in that particular verse, there's this word like he's like Kumud, he's like a lotus. Because he's like very young age. At that time, he wrote an article. It's kind of long. We'll stop this one. We'll continue another day. He wrote an article is about this verse. Which one is that? Jigar Sarabhai. This the Jigar Sarabhai, Krishna Nityadas, Krishna Tasha Shakti, Ved Prakash. That verse. He made an essay on this. And this one is like the Jiva, the Swarup, the Jiva is eternally the servant of Krishna. Krishna Nityadas. But in that verse, in that particular essay, he nicely explained how it is to be a Krishna Nityadas, an eternal servant of Krishna. And take note, he's a young kid at that time. But he nicely explained that really he became a Guru Das. Then really he become like a real Krishna Das. He explained like really how to become a disciple. Like all about like Guru Tattva and like this. Prabhupada was so pleased with him. And so Prabhupada himself wrote like a glorification of him. And in that there's the word Kumuda. Like glorifying him is like a lotus. And so then Jajavar Maharaj, when he gave this sannyas name, he said Bhakti Kumuda Santan. Gosvami Maharaj. Now it's late. We're going to continue. We don't want to delay more. We have other programs also to do. So tomorrow we continue reading. That's good. So Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Sangha Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.